All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
Jermaine Franklin is in the runnings to take on Anthony Joshua in Joshua's, let's say, rehabilitation fight after 2 losses on the bounce to USYK. Dempsey McKean was mentioned, but that trail seems to have went cold. Eddie Hearn said Jermaine Franklin had to beat Dillian to get the Anthony Joshua fight, but he's going to argue that Jermaine performed above what was expected and he warrants to be in the shake-up to take on AJ. And it seems winning has pushed Dillian out of the fight. I think Dillian beat Franklin, close, but the late round pressure and punch power from Dillian decided it for me. So a few contradictions here and there from Eddie, but AJ's the boss. He'll select who he wants to fight and how we'll get back into title contention, and that's that. 99.8 or whatever of the heavyweights want that lottery ticket fight with AJ, but he can't fight everybody. Dave Allen to make awkward Tyson Fury phone call before USYK fight. Now the background story is, USYK had Dave Allen out on his feet in a sparring session. It's on video, and Dave retired from boxing. He's made a comeback, and he's a great fan of Tyson Fury, a great fan. And he's looking to come back, apparently. And he claims that USYK wants to use him as a sparring partner again, that he'll be ideal sparring for Tyson Fury. Yeah, ideal to use as a human punch bag and prepare for Tyson Fury. But Dave Allen says, I have to make the awkward call to Tyson Fury. Is it alright if I spar with USYK? So Tyson Fury's like his daddy. It's cute. Cute stories. These boxers around Tyson Fury is cute. I tell you what, Tyson Fury doesn't hold them in the same esteem that they hold him, though. Tank Davis claims that boxing fans don't know who Devin Haney is, and that he was either handed a WBC belt or waited until a weak belt holder like Kambosos got his hands on the titles before he chose to fight for them. Bragging that Devin knows who the champ is. Bill Haney exposed that he spoke to Gilbert Mendoza from the WBA because he knows they're interested in consolidating the belts. Bill said, are you going to order Devin to defend against Tank? And Tank's team said they're going to go the other way if it's ordered. I'm not going to boycott Tank versus Ryan, but my energy is going to go into Haney versus Lomachenko. Aram says Top Rank will hopefully have enough money in their budget for this year to televise Haney versus Lomachenko live on ESPN rather than making it a pay-per-view event. He says here he wants to do as few fights on pay-per-view as possible. He really believes that putting these fights on pay-per-view is not a wise thing to do. People might find difficulty in this. It's not a wise thing to do because people are not buying the pay-per-views, and it costs a lot of money to do it, even if the fighters don't take guarantees. They hate you afterwards because they haven't made money. I think that's the problem Heyman is running into. This is what Bob said in November 2022. Bob considers the pay-per-view model harder to successfully utilize than ever. And he's correct. He's correct. It's because they've overflooded the market, man. You know what I mean? Tank versus Hector Garcia. Tank versus Rowley. Tank versus Isaac Cruz. And there's also the piracy issues. Tank, according to Dan Raphael, done nearly 275,000 pay-per-view buys against Rowley. It's weird. They were saying that Canelo flopped. He done 575,000 against Golovkin in America, 1.1 worldwide. Tank does barely 275, if that, against Rowley in America. But he's the star of the sport. So people just say things. I hope Bob can pull off this non-pay-per-view event with Devin and Lomachenko. I hope he can pull it off. So let's quickly go through this back and forth between Eddie Hearn and Gervonta Davis. Have you noticed that Gervonta didn't say he was racist? No one said he was racist or jumped on that bandwagon until Leonard Ellaby said it, and then Stephen Espinoza followed up. When Stephen was quizzed on Twitter about Hearn being a racist, he said, I didn't say he was racist. Well, what would it mean by you saying when the veneers come off, people tell you what they're really like? Doesn't that suggest you're saying when the veneers come off, he's exposing himself as a racist? But he's a weasel and a liar, an opportunist, him and Leonard. I took that from 68 Deluxe. He had a video out on it. And after all the hurrah, Tank went in Eddie's DMs, questioned why Eddie said that, and there was no hostility there at all. They went back and forth, no hostility. Now, I shouldn't have to tell you why Stephen and Leonard jumped on that. But if they were going to go down that rabbit hole to catch Eddie, why not just remove race out of the diatribe and say, is that what you think of boxers, Eddie? They're only articulate and not deep thinkers. That would have tipped most people over the edge. Eddie isn't very popular right now. You would have got loads of people, black, white, yeah, Eddie's a piece of shit. But when you go to that typical victim, PBC, bring up race is such an emotive topic and it brings up instant bias in people. They put their guards up. So people who don't even like Eddie will be saying, nah, it ain't racism. What are you talking about? You're calling a race card, playing victim and rare. You lose all the momentum that you was trying to develop. People are coming desensitized to the PBC guys calling race on everybody every second. You can see how desperate Leonard was to use the race angle here. So basically, anything said derogatory by a non-white person to Gervonta Davis has to come down to race. Unless you're saying Eddie's the only racist non-black person. And it's funny, you know, a lot of the people who were bigging up Leonard and thumbsing up his post were the same people who were saying, well, you can't condemn Tank till all the facts are in. And when a girl retracted the statement, they're like, see, you was too quick to judge. Yeah, okay, you're saying they were too quick to judge. But at the same time, you're taking a statement that didn't have nothing to do with Tank's genetic or ethnic makeup and then attribute it to racism. Maybe they got an app that can decipher code for when people are being racist without actually saying nothing racist. Now, I'm not going to take a side. Therefore, I'm not going to seek out receipts to prove anything here. Tank said that they sent Ryan a contract and he hasn't signed it, he hasn't sent it back. But Oscar's saying they haven't received the contract and by tomorrow, if they haven't got a contract, they're moving on. Oscar then tweeted at PBC on Fox, fighters who are under a spell must realize they have no legacy. You are just a tool and will never be a legend. #sorry. Well, we heard from when it was announced that no contracts have been signed. We heard that, and that was the first red flag. And it's just another example of how fragile the infrastructure of American boxing is, where the promoters, the networks, just don't keep to their word at all. Literally. The fights break down so easily, too easily. They both cancelled each other out with their weaknesses going into the fight. Stephen Shaw seemed to be fighting like in the back of his head, can I hang at this level? And that's how he fought. AJAGBA, he said he waited too long against Frank Sanchez and he was going to let his hands go today. And he won the fight. He wasn't cut, he wasn't rocked, he wasn't knocked down or anything like that. So it's actually a good run out against an undefeated fighter. Neither man looked seriously inconvenienced by the other's offense. Stephen Shaw, not a bad defensive fighter. Actually got decent movement from the feet and the waist for a heavyweight. He knows what it's all about now, so it'd be interesting to see him when he comes back. Definitely needs a lot more offense. FA is a decent tall stand-up boxer. He just doesn't, I've repeated this several times, he just doesn't have the natural instincts, in my opinion, from what I see, to become anything special. Good size, good power, but there's nothing special what he does. Well, if he can land a right hand on a stationary target, he looks pretty special. But apart from the 1-2, there's no X factor there. Stephen Shaw said Frank Sanchez laid down the blueprint on how to beat FA, but he doesn't have the talent that Frank has, and people don't like watching Frank fight. He needed to parry FA's jab or slip inside it and fire left hooks to the body, but that's not his game, and he needs to upgrade his skills. He needs to mix it up more, make it more physical. Quite a technical heavyweight contest. In my opinion, not the worst fight to watch, TV fight to watch. Not a crash and bang fight, but they showed some good skills. I won't archive it. I won't go back for a second look, I don't think. But that's 2 on the bounce for FA since losing to Frank Sanchez in 2021. FA is 16-1 with 13 knockouts. And Stephen Shaw loses for the first time, is now 19-1. 13 inside the distance. The equation is simple. Some people say, why do you get so excited about these British fights? They're not that good beats. Well, maybe you're not familiar with the fighters. But when you get Isaac Chamberlain versus MIKAEL LAWAL, you're not getting 2 world-class cruiserweights. You're getting two fringe level cruiserweights who are evenly matched at domestic level. It's no point you having a world ranking or an interim belt or a full belt, but your fights are not evenly matched. Did you see the odds on all them fights on Tank Davis's pay-per-view card against Hector Garcia? Now don't get me wrong, Rashidi Ellis lost. Your boy Boots didn't come close to stopping Karen. They won easy. But this here is a good matchup between two London-based fighters. LAWAL won the British title. He had a relatively, let's say, soft touch, defeating someone who he had defeated a few years back. But when you're talking about LAWAL, he's 17-0, 11 knockouts. He can punch and he comes to fight. Isaac Chamberlain, he's 14-2. He has 8 knockouts. His 2 losses have been to Lawrence Okolie. No shame in that. He's a world champion right now. And I had the Chris Billiam-Smith fight maybe a little closer than 111-17 on 3 of the judges' scorecards. Now, it's gone to purse bids. The trail seems to went a little cold on it. I'm looking for some information. And all I've got is the initial Twitter post, one from Hennessy Sports. The fighters went out to purse bid. It's been ordered by the British Boxing Board of Control. The deadline for the purse bids is February the 8th, 2023. It will likely end up on Sky. Isaac had his last fight on Sky against Billiam-Smith and LAWAL. He's signed to Sky. I believe he has a contract with Sky. LAWAL's a little bit raw, and I think Isaac's skills will give LAWAL issues. But Isaac has to watch out for LAWAL's power. He does hit hard. It's an intriguing match. With Billiam-Smith, Riakporhe, Okolie apparently making his way over to Sky. This fight for the British title, cruiserweight could be a division where Sky could come up in 2023, but we'll see. I have a secret source. I don't know if she wants me to reveal her name, so I won't yet. If she messages me and said, yeah, you can say my name, I'll reveal who is giving me this information. But apparently Lawrence Okolie told her Shane hasn't been returning his calls. So I'm still going to be interested to see who's in Okolie's corner, chief second, when he takes on David Light, when the date and location is finally straightened out on that one. Billiam-Smith, he dropped the British title. He's going to be looking towards world honours right now. Is he world class? Jury is out. To be honest, I'm not sure. But you look at his fight with Isaac last year. It was actually a slept-on fight in terms of the fights of the year. It was an excellent fight. And that's the object of domestic boxing. Give you evenly matched fights. Not necessarily world-class scrappers, but evenly matched contests for the oldest title belts in the game. The Lonsdale belt. Oldest title belt. Not in British boxing, in world boxing. This is very interesting. Derek Chisora was asked about the power of USYK and Fury as he has fought both men. He's lost to both. Tyson Fury has beaten him 3 times. He's been stopped in 2 of them. First time it went the distance, tough fight for the British title. Second time he was pulled out in between rounds by Don Charles. Third time for the WBC title, he was stopped on his feet, not being concussed by the punches or anything like that. He just took so many punches by the 10th round, and Victor Loughlin intervened and stopped it. Now, Fury and USYK are supposedly in deep negotiations for this undisputed fight. Chisora on TalkSport, when asked about the chances of a knockout in this fight, he said both men don't have power, so it will be a good fight. He said both men don't have power, so it will be a good fight. Now, you know, as Boxing Social are saying, some people might take issue with this considering the damage Fury put on Chisora. Although, you know, as it's saying here, Derek didn't hit the deck other than an awkward, exhausted tumble more from the champion's weight falling on him than anything else. And I guess a lot of people are going to look at the one-punch finish against Dillian Whyte in May of last year. But what's the argument? Like, Dillian had been knocked out badly twice before that, once by Povetkin and once by Anthony Joshua, floored by Joseph Parker, floored by Oscar Rivas, stunned by Helenius in the first round. So all we've been talking about for the last 3 years, since Fury stopped Wilder to take his WBC belt in February 2020 in Las Vegas, all we've been talking about is Kronk style. You know, many people will tell you Beats is the only one who said, well, Fury has to go forward or he has to change something from what he was doing last time.
Yeah. And what he didn't anticipate is, oh, he going to switch it up on me in the second one and he going to come after me. He didn't. Nobody believed that. It's one person on this panel that believed that. You know who it was? Guess.
Leo.
Beats.
Oh, shit.
He literally the only one that, he going to get him. He's going to get him. I remember the video. He going to get him. I didn't believe. I'm like, Fury really going to come forward. Bro, you have never been that. You always been the boxer. You've never been the puncher. The only dude I seen that picked Fury to win that second fight was Beats.
And since then, all we've been talking about is Kronk style. How Fury has revolutionized his boxing since Sugar Hill's been on board. Him being a nephew of the late great Emmanuel Stewart. And none of his fights have went the distance since he's been with Sugar Hill. Is Derek perhaps being a bit economical with the truth, saying that neither man has power? Can USYK throw anything to hurt Tyson Fury? Does he need to? If Derek is telling the truth, I'm more looking into Tyson Fury. What does that mean? Well, what it means is in 3 fights with Derek, one gained a full 12, the second one was stopped in the interval by Don Charles between rounds 9 and 10, and the third one went into the 10th, and Fury hasn't produced one knockdown against Derek. And in Derek's opinion, he doesn't have power. Forget what he done against Dillian. Like I said, Dillian's been knocked out a few times before Tyson got to him. And Dillian's punch resistance is questionable. Good fighter, but yeah, it is questionable. Then we have to look at the 3 fights against Deontay Wilder. He made his name as a puncher against Wilder. But why? Like, them wins, and I'm not taking nothing away from Fury. They're very good wins. But Wilder didn't have some iron chin or great defense. He was hurt against Harold Sconniers pretty badly, apparently. They took that fight offline. Eric Molina had him wobbling around the ring. He needed extra time after the interval, after Luis Ortiz had him buzzed for, the 8th or 9th. Now, I'm not saying Fury can't punch. He's definitely made some adjustments in setting up his power punches. But if he can't hurt USYK, because USYK is pretty tough. I don't know how good USYK's chin is, because he's not like getting chinned regular. He's normally taking something off the shot when he rides the shot. And he's a damn good defensive boxer. But if Fury struggles with USYK's defensive skills, and if Fury actually connects and can't put USYK down, it could be interesting, you know. It could be interesting. Derek is tough. He's been stopped. David Haye took him out. I mean, really took him out. Dillian Whyte really took him out. But Derek was able to take them looping shots that Tyson will land on the side, on the back of your head, and they really discombobulate opponents. Wilder doesn't have the defense that USYK had, and from the second fight to the third, he just absorbed so much punishment when Fury switched the trajectory from back foot to front foot. Now, Fury didn't take Wilder out with one combination or one punch. It was an accumulation, both fights. But Wilder can't take the type of punishment that Derek Chisora can. Can't. Not many heavyweights can. Derek saying that Fury can't punch, I don't think is Derek being disingenuous. Derek's used to taking punishment. So to him, hit that hard. Look how many times you hit me. That's how he's looking at it. USYK, if he has to take a fraction of the punishment that Derek took against Tyson Fury, it'll be interesting to see how he reacts, because I'm sure he's took a few shallakings as an amateur, a junior amateur, senior, whatever. But that hasn't been for years. You know, AJ's a clean fighter. He fights clean. AJ hit USYK with that right hook to the body, borderline low. USYK doubled up and was looking at the referee to officiate. I don't know how that boxing will work against Tyson Fury. You can't look for the referee to officiate when you're fighting Tyson Fury. Nah. Now, people are going to have their opinions on what Derek said, but you haven't been in the ring with Fury and USYK. He has. His testimony is his testimony. So, him adding this to the debate is interesting, because if you just read the box rec and look at the fights, yeah, Fury's knocked out Wilder twice, he's knocked out Dillian, but that's not USYK. Could it be actually more technical fight if Tyson isn't able to hurt the Ukrainian with single shots or impose his 6'8", 19 stone, near 20 stones bulk on USYK? Could it be a more technical fight? And will that play into USYK's hands? Will Tyson's style in 2018, where he was more elusive with his feet, using a lot of feints and jabs to outbox Wilder, but only got a draw, will that actually be a better style against USYK? In all truth, I think that Fury left the building a long time ago and is not returning.